Hello, people of the game. Today we're going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shadows of the Past, from IDW Games, by Kevin Wilson. So this is our basic setup for the first scenario, which the Turtles' goal is to KO 8 thugs. In the first scenario, there won't be any villain leaders. There's just going to be brawlers and thugs. And, oops, let me turn this back around so I can see what I'm doing. So we have, like, I have the heroes set up here in such a way that they're all, like, sitting around a campfire, right? And there's a reason for that, and we'll come back to that in a second. So you'll see that Raphael has 6 dice, and the other 3 turtles all have 3 dice. They're also all color-coded. They match by color. So reading the card. The card is, from the top down, name, ability, the different attributes. When it activates, that's how many you can move. It's what you can do with an attack. That's the defense, basically. Skill, which changes from scenario to scenario. And focus. Focus is over here. It's these little token thingies. And I didn't pull any out, but you cover each die when you spend it with a manhole cover. Life is right here, and basically life is slices of pizza. 2 whole pizzas would be 10 life, so Donatello would have 2 whole pieces, or Leonardo would have 2 whole pieces and 2 slices. And in his hand for this game we have Leaping Strike and Slice and Dice. The ability text is here, and what it costs is down in the bottom corner. So the important part about the action dice is, so let's say Leonardo rolls these action dice. Boom, he rolled 2 turtles, 2 shells, and a double attack. So he can spend, spend his, set his dice out in front of him like that if he wants, or because it's a cooperative game, and this is a dice pool where the turtles share their dice, or I should say 1 die with each player. So let's change this real quick. So let's do that. So maybe he's going to put this here, and he's going to put that there. Donatello will be able to share this die on Donatello's turn, while Michelangelo will be able to share that die while it's on Michelangelo's turn. Donatello, or Leonardo, however, will be able to share 1 die from each of those 2 turtles. Raphael, however, does not pull dice from other players or other characters, but the other characters can pull a die from Raphael. Now that is probably the most dynamic mechanic of the game, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as to why I think it's good or bad in a few minutes. So we're going to move to understanding the street or the villain cards. Essentially they're the same thing. You're going to see right here at the bottom, though, there is one little difference. The icons for the action dice are right here. So you have the name, you have the ability, and the different ability scores plus life. You can see that they have substantially less life. Alright, so we have our action dice, right? We already mentioned those, and they have different symbols. Oh, I didn't mention those. So you have the defense die, you have focus, you have movement, you have ranged attack, and double ranged attack. And you have double attack, and you have double movement, which are just, 2 skateboards or cross swords. Of course they're using skateboards, right? And then you have the battle dice, which obviously you use in combat. You have your defensive die, which if you're defending with the battle dice, that's what you want to roll. You have the double hit. I call it a critical, and single hit. So there's a few things. Okay, focus. Clear your mind, my son, is the words of... I am not yet a learned student of you, Splinter. I cannot focus without it on my head. Anyway, enough stupidity, right? So you have focus, and focus is really used for a couple of things. One, more often than not, it is used for, well, I don't know if it's more often than not. I've used it more often this way, I think. It's used to re-roll any one die. Most of the time, unless you have an ability that says otherwise, you can re-roll more than one die. So I roll 4 dice for my battle die thingy. And, man, let's say I got a defense die. Well, I got 2 defense dice in this particular roll. So I didn't want one of those, maybe. So I spend a focus, I re-roll a 1 die, and I got a turtle again, or a shell again, a defense die again, and I can't re-roll it again. You can only make 1 re-roll per set of rolling. So that's basically how that works. Now, there are also focus checks, and when you make a focus check, you grab X battle dice, where X is equal to the number of focus on the particular character or villain, and then you roll them. And you have to hit or beat the check number, so greater than or equal to the check number. So let's say it's a focus check of 2, and well, I rolled 2 hits. That's greater than or equal to, so I would have exceeded my check. Basically, you have a turn tracker. So villains, that's important. So the villains start the game with 5 villain cards. Villains and thugs and minions, however you want to call them, do not get action dice. They plan their turn based off of this, and it's probably a good thing, because if they used action dice, the villains would have a large number of dice available for them to use, right? Because, I mean, you saw the board. There's 10 thugs and 4 turtles. That's pretty crazy. So we have, in this one, let's see. Okay, so we have a thug gunner, a green thug gunner, and at the top it says 2X, which means it activates 2 gunners. And then down at the bottom, well, there's some flavor text. It says shoot 'em, fire, fire, and you see that there's a movement for the particular thug gunner, which in this case would be a move of 3, and then there's the double tap, 2 shurikens, which means you get to shoot twice, or if you're a turtle, you throw 2 shurikens, and then you would discard that card, and then you would be able to play. We're gonna go with Thug Brawler this time, because it's different. This only activates 1 Thug Brawler, and he's allowed to move and attack. So bringing us to melee combat, or moving in general. So, got this board. I'm just going to stand the board up here like this. And I'm going to go like this. So, this guy is here, and he goes 1, 2, 3. And that would be the end of his move. Well, let's say he goes here, and he wants to attack somebody here in melee, or shoot him. He won't get to finish his move. That's one of the things that caught some people that I played with early on, is that they didn't realize they couldn't finish their move. So you have to complete an action before you can go to the next action. There are different things with the terrain and stuff, like, where's my favorite one? We'll do unstable terrain. Figures may move through unstable terrain but can't end move action in it. If a figure would be forced to end its move in unstable terrain, it just stops short. But there's special movement if you have 3 skateboards. When adjacent to a rail, move onto it as far along as desired. Following the arrows, you may make an attack at +2 melee strike against each enemy. So you basically ride the rail like a skateboard all the way down and attack everybody who's adjacent to it. That's pretty cool. It can add up fast. Little bits of terrain, they're punch outs for the game. So now about the game. Line of sight rules make perfect sense. I don't know if I mentioned it before, the rule book is super easy to read. Part of it is, I mean, when I got the rule book, I'm like, my gosh, this is going to be more complicated than I thought. But nice big letters, white back, it's bright. Very easy to digest. It's not like some other rule books where it's a chore to get through. This was actually pleasant, and I don't say that very often about rule books. The scenario books are essentially comic books. They have the scenarios in them, and then they go to the comic books. Scenario here, the very first scenario. Oh, come on, let's go back, please. Only one page. I went back 3. So it tells you the basic stuff for winning the game. The turtles have to KO 8 guys. There's only 10 on the table. I should mention that they can spawn more, though. If stuff happens, it tells you what terrain cards to use. And then on the next page, it gives you the entire setup for that round. Up top here, you'll note that there's the thugs, the different types of thugs. They show you with the picture. And then, oops, in that corner up there, there is the regroup. That is the 25th card. Basically, so here's how you read this. So this is the thug brawler. And then there's the 3 colors underneath them, red, green, and blue. You would put 4 of each of the thug brawler cards in your starting villain deck, and 4 of the gunman cards in your villain deck, and the regroup card. And of course you get a comic book plus all the tokens, which you guys can check all that out in my box breaking. And so what else? So the action dice, the action pool, I should say. It's not really action dice. I mean, you do roll the action dice, but I do not think this game would be good if they did not create the action pool. It would be too much of a single-player game where players waited around for their turn to happen. The action dice, and sharing them is really what makes it work, because to me that really gives it the feel that you're playing the team of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which lends to the heroism and the teamwork that Master Splinter has always tried teaching them, right? Things don't always go. There's luck of the draw, which, coming to the luck of the draw with the action dice, I think one of the most insane things about the game is you've got these scenarios, and I think the problem with playing most scenario games, or scenario-driven games, is that when you play them, after a while, you get into a rut of it being the same game. I've played the first 4 or 5 scenarios in the book, and I don't feel like I've played the same game of any of those scenarios twice. The playability of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shadows from the past, is absolutely out of this world. They couldn't have done a better job with that. Focus is your friend. I didn't talk about it before. Awaken is good because it's like if this was a boxing match, you get knocked out, you're down, you're out, the fight's over. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even villains can stand back up underneath the right circumstances and the right types of rolling. That's really, really good. I think the only thing that is really kind of a drawback to the game is it plays much better with more people. Oh wait, how is that a drawback? I think it's great. It's geared for families. So many games that are for families stop at 4 players, and this one goes to 5. I would love them to add a 6th player variant to it somehow. That would be my little takeaway from this. That I would actually like to see this go up to 8 players. I don't know how you would do that. That's for the IDW team and Kevin Wilson to figure out. The miniatures. I think I already might have said something about the miniatures, but if I didn't. So you've got your miniatures. I'm a miniatures player. Many of you that watch my channel know I like miniatures. There's nothing wrong with the detail of these miniatures, but one of the things I was looking forward to when I heard about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was to being able to use my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and other things, which I think I'm still going to use them for Frostgrave. They'll be cool warrior types. And even this guy might be a cool nomad, but they're a little bit big if you want things to be in scale. And like I said, the detail for they're a board game. They're oversized for a reason, and it's because it fits their game. And even if they were a miniatures company and they do it, I would understand why they did it, because you want people to buy your miniatures to play your game, right? So going with an offshoot scale isn't a terrible idea. You're just going to make everybody mad at you. Which within a board game, I don't think there's any room for that. I mean, look at some of the board games that are out there that have massive miniatures. What else? What else? What else? I don't think there's anything else to say. I don't really have anything bad to say about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shadows of the Past. I mean, the worst thing I have to complain about is it's a 5-player. It's possibly a 5-player game and plays better with 5 players than it does with 2. And the miniatures are bigger than I would care for them to be, but they're still good-looking minis. I'm probably not going to go ahead and paint these guys, just because I've got so many other minis to paint. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.